Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for watching this video. And let's talk about the migration of a bass during spring, because I think that will be the best spring bass fishing tip I can give you. Now, in the summer, the fish are going to move out to that main river channel. They're going to move out deeper. In the fall, they're going to move towards wherever the bait is at. But in the springtime, they move shallow. Now, that's a pretty obvious statement. Most people know about that. But it's very important to take note of that every day you're on the water this time of year, because spring fishing, like no other time of the year, fish change by the day, by the hour. They are constantly doing something differently, and that is how you win tournaments. That's how you cash checks. That's how you really catch them extremely good, by knowing what to do when they change. You know, we can all go catch some fish on Wednesday and Thursday and then go back there on Saturday and try to catch them. And if they're there, we can catch them. But that's not how it typically happens. And especially in the springtime, those fish are on the move. So what do you focus on when you may have found a group of fish and you don't necessarily know, why they've left, but they've definitely left, and how do you follow them shallow? So anytime I'm finding areas, pre-spawn areas, I want to typically have some type of spawning area that is obvious to fish. And what I mean by that, the perfect example would be like a big bay. If you can find something that pre-spawn fish would like a drain, maybe a creek channel swinging right up against a bank, but it's next to a bay, you typically know that those fish are going to swim into that bay. Now, again, this seems very obvious, but you're not always going to find pre-spawn fish in those type situations. A lot of times you may be fishing rivers and the river channel swings up against the bank. There's a good place to catch some fish. And then you may have a big bar on the main river channel, the original riverbank, a big shallow shell bar right next to the riverbank, and you can catch some pre-spawn fish there. But what tends to happen on places like that, when those fish decide to move even shallower, you can't catch them anymore. They're gone. They may have went somewhere else. Whatever the reason being, you don't want those fish out there to spawn. So what you need to look for this time of year is a couple different situations. Now, in my last tournament, I had fish that were in the back of a pocket. I had fish that were in the main creeks, right next to the creek channel, but also a big bay next to them. So I knew if they did move shallow, it was going to be into a bay. And then I also had some main river flats, but I was hoping that if any of those fish move shallow, it was the ones that were near that bay. Those fish tried to spawn, the ones near the main river, I probably wasn't going to relocate them. Those fish that were in the back of that pocket, there's a lot of places for them to go. So you really want to have an obvious place where those fish are going to go. And I'm not saying they're necessarily going to just go in there and start spawning. What they tend to do is they'll get in a spot about the size of the front deck of your boat, and they'll all be going to that like a magnet. I mean, they will be attracted to that small little area, and then you can continue trying that little spot throughout the day, and more fish throughout the day should move up there. So that's very important to have a couple different things. Now, again, these fish want to get shallow this time of year. You have a couple warm nights, you have a sunny day, that's going to push fish shallow. But it can be very confusing. It can make you go to the wrong places at the wrong time, because there's just a lot of different scenarios for fish to go. And there's some of those scenarios where you never can find them when they decide to go shallow. So find you a bunch of different areas this time of year, because you got to be ready for the fishing to change. And it's really important to know that you have a place where it's going to be easy to dissect where those bass are at. So try that. That's my best spring fishing tip. If you're out there bass fishing, good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.